A stun bolt ripped across the street and burst against the wall beside my head, spraying hot grit across my cheek. 20 aerial drones shifted above me as the timer dropped under 3 minutes, and there was still open ground between me and the command beacon. I had no shield to raise, no energy weapon hidden in my hands. So I watched the formation move. 3 days earlier, Battle Academy 7 had still considered me a mistake it had not yet corrected. My name is Kira Voss. Every medical scan, genetic test, and combat evaluation attached the same ugly description to my file. No paranormal ability detected. At the Academy, that made me almost unique. Marcus Hale could throw plasma hot enough to cut armored plating. Yuki Tanaka could turn one fighter into 7. Dex Orin's telekinesis was weak by Academy standards, but even he could move an object without touching it. I had reflexes. That was supposed to be insufficient. During a routine drone exercise, 3 machines descended into the training circle and opened fire. I ducked the first shot, knocked the second drone sideways with a baton, then used its momentum to crash it into another. The last drone chased me toward the observation level. I vaulted the railing and landed beside Marcus. He saw the targeting lights sweep toward us and reacted automatically. Plasma erupted from his hands. The drone became glowing fragments. Marcus rounded on me. You dragged its fire straight at me. I knew you would stop it. That's not fighting. That's making somebody else solve your problem. I handed him the half-melted baton. I solved the problem. You were part of the environment. The laughter around us disappeared when Instructor Talrech stepped into the circle. The Vraxian's 4 arms folded at different heights across his chest. Resourceful, he said, but a battlefield will eventually deny you convenient allies. Then give me a battlefield instead of toys. Several cadets turned toward me. Talrech's 4 eyes narrowed. Explain. I'm tired of being graded on how badly I imitate people with abilities. Give me something where decisions matter. Marcus shook his head. You want a serious combat scenario without powers. I want the same chance everyone else gets to fail. That finally made Talrech pause. The arena crucible. The name silenced the room. 4th-year cadets trained there. The system studied whatever ability entered and generated counters for it. Teleportation triggered spatial traps. Heavy energy projection brought reflective barriers. Enhanced strength produced enemies designed to survive direct impact. Talrech tapped one claw against his data pad. The crucible will not understand your classification. With no measurable capability to counter, it may assume you are concealing one. Meaning, it could increase difficulty instead of reducing it. Good. Marcus stared at me. Talrech did not. You have 3 days. I spent almost all of them in the research library, not learning how to become stronger, learning what the arena believed strength looked like. I watched old attempts repeatedly. Powered cadets usually solved each new obstacle by reaching first for whatever gift had made them exceptional. The crucible adapted to that behavior. The stronger their dependency, the clearer their pattern became. Lena Park found me studying another failed run after midnight. You've barely moved since dinner. I moved twice. Blinking doesn't count. She sat beside me and pushed a file onto my screen. Mechanical diagrams appeared. I looked at her. What is this? Facility plans, support routes, projector housings, maintenance access. You're giving me restricted material. I'm giving you documents hidden inside safety records that everyone is allowed to read, and nobody does. I scrolled through the diagrams. Lena lowered her voice. The illusion changes. The building underneath it doesn't. On evaluation day, every observation deck was crowded. Talrech stopped me outside the arena doors. If medical control intervenes, the run ends immediately. Understood. You may still withdraw. I looked through the opening doors. Then everyone gets to keep being right about me. I stepped inside. 30 seconds later, a jungle appeared around me. Predator drones came first. I did not fight their armor. I forced them into the same pursuit lane, used a disguised power conduit to swing above the largest, landed on its back, and wrapped the cable across its optical sensors. It slammed blindly into the others. The arena recalculated. 6 combat mechs replaced them. I reached a projector node, hidden inside an artificial tree, opened the maintenance housing, and disconnected part of the targeting synchronization network. The mechs fired. For several seconds, they stopped aiming like one coordinated unit. I ran. The jungle dissolved behind me. A ruined city rose ahead. That was where my cold open memory began. 20 drones circled the beacon. There was almost nowhere to hide. The timer continued downward. I started across the street. The first volley came from my left. I changed direction before the targeting cycle completed. A second volley crossed behind me. I slid beneath it, rolled through broken masonry, came up running and counted the delay until the next synchronized shot. I had spent 3 days measuring those gaps. Fractions of seconds. That was all I owned. Above the arena, nobody was laughing anymore. Halfway to the beacon, the ground split. A simulated chasm opened directly in my path, while another drone formation descended. I jumped. My boot struck the far edge badly and slipped. For one awful second, my weight dropped backward. My fingers caught broken pavement. A bolt hit where my head had been. I hauled myself up and kept moving. The drones changed formation again. I knew the pattern. Then I realized there was no opening in it. Every route ended inside overlapping fire. My lungs were burning. My legs were shaking. The beacon was close enough that I could see reflections moving across its polished casing. And I could not reach it. From the gallery, Marcus pressed both hands against the glass. Lena stood beside him. Talrech was perfectly still. The drones descended. I looked down. A fist-sized piece of broken concrete lay near my boot. No power. No special weapon. Just mass, angle timing. I picked it up. The lead drone adjusted slightly to keep me centered. I threw. The concrete struck the side of its thruster housing. The drone did not explode. It moved 6 degrees off course. 6 degrees was enough. It collided with a machine beside it. A weapon discharged early. Another drone banked to avoid the blast and struck a fourth. The formation opened. I ran. Bolts tore across the street behind me. One passed so close to my shoulder that my suit flashed a heat warning. The gap began closing. I jumped the final barrier, hit the platform hard enough to bruise both knees, and threw myself forward. My palm slammed onto the command beacon. Everything stopped. The timer froze. 28:42. For several seconds, the only sound I could hear was my own breathing. Then the observation deck erupted. People were standing, some were shouting. Others were staring at the dead arena systems as though the machines themselves had betrayed them. Talrech entered through the opening doors. I was still gripping the beacon. He stopped in front of me. His mandibles shifted once. I have watched decorated cadets fail this exercise. I forced myself upright. Should I assume that's congratulations? No. My stomach tightened. It is concern. For me. For my training program. I laughed before I could stop myself. The academy spent the next 72 hours deciding whether my result counted. Lena was questioned about the diagrams. Technical staff inspected every system I had touched. My run was replayed from dozens of angles. When Talrech called me into his office, he had 4 data pads open. You knew where the physical systems were. I knew where some access points were. Other cadets entered without that knowledge. Other cadets enter with abilities I don't have. His lower hands went still. I leaned forward. You keep calling preparation an unfair advantage only because you're used to genetic advantages. Talrech stared at me for a long time. Then one corner of his mandibles moved. Your talent for creating institutional headaches may be measurable after all. The board summoned me that afternoon. Director Vance sat at the center of 5 officials. She didn't waste time. Your completion is valid. For a second, I forgot to breathe. You violated no competition rule, she continued. Your tactical decisions were made during the run without external assistance. The result remains on your record. Relief hit so hard my knees nearly weakened. Then Vance stood. But your success exposed a larger failure. The room quieted. Our assessment system has treated paranormal capability as though it were synonymous with combat potential. She looked directly at me. Your performance proved otherwise. Talrech shifted beside her. Vance's hands tightened around the edge of the table. I entered this academy 40 years ago with the same classification you carry. I stared at her. She continued more quietly. I had no measurable ability. After 6 months, I left because every test told me I did not belong here. Nobody moved. I believed them. Her voice hardened again. You did not. That landed harder than the cheering in the arena. Vance released the table. You will remain a full cadet. You will also join the tactical development program and help redesign exercises for fighters who do not fit conventional ability models. Talrech added, you will advise other cadets as well. So I broke the crucible and earned extra work. An accurate summary, he said. 3 months later, the academy looked different. Marcus attempted an enhanced crucible and barely completed it. When he returned from medical recovery, he stopped treating planning as something weaker cadets did. Yuki began attending tactical sessions. Dex stopped trying to move large objects and discovered he could place tiny ones with extraordinary precision. Then Commander Hayes found me after the 4th-year graduation ceremony. He handed me a classified data chip. Strategic Operations is forming a unit for problems brute force makes worse. I turned the chip between my fingers. What kind of problems? First contact, hostile negotiations. Asymmetric conflicts. I'm still a cadet. Which is why we're recruiting early. That night, alone in my quarters, I opened the file. The unit wanted people capable of entering situations where displaying greater power could trigger a war instead of preventing one. They wanted adaptability, restraint, preparation. They wanted me. A reply field waited at the bottom of the briefing. I rested my fingers over the terminal for several seconds. Then I typed, I accept. When do we start? I pressed send. A training alarm sounded somewhere beyond my door as another night exercise began. I removed Hayes's data chip and placed it beside my academy insignia. On the terminal, the transmission symbol blinked once. Then it turned green.